the important tips. Body language is very, very important, or very, 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 very important. Why is body language important in a public speech? Can the body speak? Can it speak? Can it speak? No. Yes, it can speak. Can it instruct? Yes, it can instruct. Speaking has got various meanings in English language. Literally, if you ask, can it speak with a verbal voice or a voice? The answer is no. But can it speak? Speak. So speak has got different meanings. Instructions normally people think are given by the mouth. It can be given by the hands also. That's the reason I always prefer that it's preferable that the talk is given without the help of notes. Because with the notes, my body language is restricted. With the notes, the part which my body is speaking is not being utilized. If you noted day for yesterday, second day of training, yesterday was a holiday, in the forms of Dawah, what you read, you retain 10% of what you read. What you hear is 20%. What you see is 30%. What you hear and see is 50%. So what is the difference of only hearing my speech and seeing me while speaking? Difference is how much? Difference is how much? 20%. Only if you see, it is 30% attention. If you see and hear, it is 50%. Difference is 20%. So do you mean to say you only want to look at the lips? The research is done with a particular parameters. If body language wasn't important, then hearing and seeing and hearing would be the same. Now this is a new point I've never told ever before in any of my training programs. I'm conducting this after 16.5 years. Notes are same, little bit here and there. So what I spoke day for yesterday, on the second day, it is implemented here. The research says 30% if you see, or if you only hear, it is 20%. So if you hear an audio, and if you see me speaking, then the difference is how much? 30%. So if you're hearing an audio tape of Dr. Zakir Naik, and if you're seeing and hearing a video of Dr. Zakir Naik, the difference is 30%. Only seeing and seeing 20. Only hearing, that means if you hear the audio and if you see the video audio, the difference is not 20, the difference is 30. That means body language carries how many marks? How many marks body language carries? Body language carries a major portion of the 30% what you're getting. Only hearing is 20%. Hearing while seeing is 50%, 30%. So body language constitutes not everything, but the major portion of the 30% what you're getting advantage. That means watching and hearing is 2.5 times more effective than only hearing. That means body language can carry more marks also than your speech alone. Can carry, not will carry. If you're good with that body language and gestures. That's the reason I personally, like Sheikh Ahmed Didat, never like speaking in front of a podium. Because the podium, it restricts your body. Not that I have a very good physique. I'm normal. Previously I was thin, but now I'm normal. I'm not macho. I'm not a bodybuilder that I want to show my body. But I want to show the language of my body. That's the reason I personally, like Sheikh Deedat, do not like speaking in front of a podium. Not that speaking in front of a podium is haram. Islamically, no difference. You speak or you don't speak. But technique-wise, it makes a world of a difference. So best is to speak without notes, without a podium. The podium is required mainly for notes. So if you don't have notes, podium is not required. But some people are so used to holding the podium and speaking that even without notes, if they don't have a podium, difficult. They cannot. You can see, I saw many people coming day for yesterday, and I could make out the pros and cons, which we'll discuss while we do the training. So body language is very, very important. And in body language, there are various different aspects, which some of them we'll discuss in the course of time. Number 4, before beginning a speech, remove any disturbances that may cause obstruction or hindrance. Normally when you come and you find something disturbing you, remove it. Sometimes they keep the microphone very close to maybe the table, or there's a chair in front of you where when you do gestures, it will hit the chair. Put the chair. Now everything is placed because they know I'm coming. So the organizer who's calling you on the stage, if he's a professional, you need not remove anything. Everything is done. But most of the times, when you go to Muslim organizations, even after mentioning what you require, you can be sure most of the time it will not be done. If there is a table, if you observe when I came, what I did, I placed the notes what I required, I placed the other notes below the Quran. Many a time there are things which you don't require. Now, nothing is there, but many times you find there are things. So if I have to go and pick up my notes and there are many other papers and books, I'll have to search for my notes. Normally I don't carry notes, but now because we are giving a point form lecture, it's there. So see to it that any disturbance that is there, you should know your area. There may be some obstruction here, or you move your microphone away from the table, or move the table away from the microphone. If the recording is going, you have to be careful that you have to be in front of the camera. So any disturbance that is there, which is obstructing you, please remove it. If the table is cluttered, if you have to sit on the table and speak, see to it that the table is clear. Certain things which is not required may be there if they have kept for decoration. If they have kept a flower vase for decoration. And if it's causing a problem, remove that also. Have you called for decoration? You call me for speaking? That decoration is not more important than my obstruction. Me not being obstructed is more important than decoration. So if something is there which the organizers require and it is not a hindrance for you, no problem. But otherwise, as a general rule, clear the table, which I mentioned even on the first day, that don't keep things on a table which is not required. What you require, you keep. If you require a pen, you require a note, whatever. What you don't require, don't keep. And this is a very important point, that remove the obstructions which will cause a hindrance to you. Does anyone have any questions on the important points? Yes, Brother Imran.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Things like podium can help people who are not so comfortable standing in front of the crowd.
Brother said that if you use the podium, it can help a person who's not comfortable in standing in front of the crowd. But we have called you here to make you comfortable without the podium. Therefore, I said, it is preferable that the talk is given without the help of notes. Speak without a podium to enable the audience to observe the body language. The podium will restrict your ability. It makes you comfortable, but does not make you an expert. For example, instead of doing revision for 2 hours, doing revision for 10 minutes is more comfortable or not? Yes, Brother Imran. 10 minutes is more comfortable or 2 hours? But will 10 minutes be enough jihad for you to memorize the 114 surahs? Okay, unless you're doing a speech to make yourself comfortable, then keep a podium. If you're going on the stage to make yourself comfortable, you're going on the stage to deliver the message. That's a different question, that a person is unable to speak without notes. Therefore, I said it is preferable to speak without notes. Unfortunately, most of the speakers, they speak with notes, but there are many who don't speak. And Sheikh Didat was one of them, mashallah. He never used notes. If he had to, he used to write bullet points. If you see his talks, like these are bullet points. But mine is a marathon. His is a speech, so we'll have about 3 pages written in bold letters, and he picks up. I don't do that also. I don't use bullet points. Only bullet train, no bullet points. Only time I use notes is in a debate. Because in a debate, when my opponent is speaking, I have to jot down. And then I have to put in my hard disk. Difficult. You know, when we record here, we put hard disk and then we put it into LTO drive. LTO drive is for archiving. So when it goes in the memory, it's archiving. Here I'm only jotting down. To retrieve it, I have to take the help of notes. Unless I don't put in the long-term memory, and I don't have the time to put in the long-term memory. So when I jot down points in a debate, that's the only time I pick up and speak. For example, if I have to give comments about how the participants have spoken, I may have my marks. At that time, I have the notes. Now, because we want to be in the same line, I have given you point form notes. That is the reason I'm picking up and keeping it. But giving a talk without notes is the best. If you cannot do it, then have point form notes. That's it. If you have the written text, you will ruin your talk. How to give a speech with written text is a different technique with the podium, which, if time permits, maybe I'll demonstrate. Even with podium, the lower the podium, the better it is. But the lower it is, the more difficult to read it. If you use a podium, use a sleek podium. If you have seen the President of USA speaking on his official, not unofficial, but the past president, the present president, you see that they have a base and a thin, not always, not always. Many a time, they have thin and they have a flat surface. So the least is restricted. So if you want to have a podium which has heavy base. If my feet is blocked, no problem. My shoes are blocked, no problem. Then have a heavy base and one rod, same like this, and a flat. The podium will not restrict my talk much here, but me looking down will reduce the eye contact, which we'll do later on. Here when I'm reading, my face is on top. On the podium, important tips. Body language is very, very, now it's a point form so I can look on top, but normally I have to read. Now you tell me, body language is very, very important. Body language is very, very important. Both I'm reading. So reading is also a technique. Reading like that is more effective according to me. My hands are restricted. It's not the best. I'm only doing gestures with one hand. Sometimes I take on my left hand to gestures with this hand. Now when I'm carrying the notes, half my gestures are gone. Half, it's not half, it's more than half. Because with two hands we can do much better. My one hand is blocked. So with notes when you carry, when you use a podium, both your hands are free, but your look is down. So if you cannot give a talk, even with point form, means you must have a script written, then the best is the podium. And there are many speakers who warm it out, and we will be showing you tomorrow how some people use scripts in podium. They have modulation, but you can see the impact. And you have other people who use podium, who know the technique of using podium, which I'll show you tomorrow. They are masters. But again, they're using point form. They use a podium, they are master speakers. But they have limitation, they cannot memorize like Sheikh Didat without notes. That is the limitation. But the same speaker, if you have spoken, for example, Jimmy Swaggart. Who has seen Jimmy Swaggart speaking? Most of it. Does he speak with notes, without notes? With notes, without notes?
With notes.
Sorry?
With notes.
With notes. Does he speak with podium, without podium?
With podium.
With podium. But he knows the art of speaking with the podium. Very good. One of the best speakers that I know of in the world. One of the best. Not the best, one of the best. Speaker in public speaking skills. Not matter. Not the best, but one of the best. And he's taking care. He's been trained. So training how to speak on a podium is a different technique which we don't want to teach. Because why do I want my students to be second class? I want them first class. And there are multiple benefits which we'll know. If you use podium, then not only in first section you get low marks, second, third, fourth, fifth class. And we'll come to it. What is the benefit of speaking from memory and how it benefits your speech, your question, answer, debates, everything. Right? So you can use a podium. It's not haram Islamically, but it restricts your body language, your movement, and the impact becomes less. If you have to do it, there's a separate technique of using it which can minimize the loss but not completely delete it. Hope that answers the question. Yes, Brother Firdaus.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Zakir Naik.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, what is your opinions about in the competition of world public speaking competitions where the participants, they without the mic stand, they are given the mic which is attached to their head, and they move around the stage, which allow more body language expressions, like what Steve Jobs done. Because when we look into YouTube, there's a lot of such video that talking about how they attract their audience by walking around and without being attached to one place. What is your opinion on that?
As far as speaking with a moving microphone is concerned, we'll be doing that later. But because you have asked the question, it is actually overlapping. I thought I'll do it in the public address time. Public address, when I speak, I'll be paying more attention. For a non-Islamic talk, I do agree that speaking the way they speak, for example, do you know which is the best organization for public speaking? Can you give the microphone? Yes.
Carnegie, New York.
I said, which is the best public speaking organization? The best public speaking organization. You want to try? Okay, fine. It's not IRF, huh?
I was going to say that, but then if you exclude that, then it would be Toastmasters.
Toastmasters is known, you want to say? The Toastmasters is known to be, Dale Carnegie is different. Toastmasters is an organization, which is an international organization, which has got branches throughout the world, in many countries, including India, USA, UK. I think all the countries you come from, they'll be having a branch, inshallah. And they're supposed to be people who train, etc. And they also have a competition every year. World Championship, Toastmasters World Championship. And we'll show you clippings of that, inshallah. But the time is yet a few days to go. I thought I'll keep it for that time. Many a time it overlaps. And there you do find people using a microphone. Now the difference between that microphone and this microphone is that, I don't know whether should I go into that, because if I go into that, I will lose the concentration here. I think we'll leave it for that time. But in short, I won't go into the details. In short, the difference is there when you're speaking. It's a topic which may be humorous. It is a general topic. Ours is an Islamic topic. Not that you can't add humor to it. But it's not a topic of fun. It's not a love story. It's not a competition of joking. You can use humor. You can use jest in it. But mainly it is a topic where a person has to concentrate. I personally, yes, there are one or two speakers who I know, at present 2, 3 who I know, who do use this, but unfortunately they don't know how to handle the microphone. How to speak on the stage using a microphone which comes to your, it has special holders there. Normally you cannot speak with a microphone that's called a lapel microphone. A lapel microphone you cannot speak because lapel microphone is not meant for speaking in public. Lapel microphone is meant for recording for television, which we shall deal inshallah in public address system. So if you want to move and speak, there are only two options. Either have a handle microphone. If you're doing a TV recording without the public address system means there are speakers from which the public can hear. If there's no public address system, you can use a lapel microphone for a TV talk, no problem. For a workshop, excellent, the best. But if I use a microphone, which is a lapel microphone, known as collar microphone in layman's terminology, and if I move, there'll be feedback. You know, here could be noise coming. Because that is a different type of microphone we'll discuss in public address system. I don't want to go into details. So when you want to use music, there are two options. Either handheld or a microphone which has a holder here and it comes in front of you, just close to your mouth, not in front of your mouth, close to your mouth. And then they have a skin color so it's seen least. But here it can be seen. The difference between the two is in that you can move and you can do more actions, I agree. My body language is there, but I cannot. There you can move and you can bend down. That's what the Christian missionaries do. Christian missionaries, they have a handle microphone. Now, handle microphone, when you move, it restricts the gestures which we'll do. That microphone gives freedom to you but doesn't look good. Therefore, when you find singers, whether it be Michael Jackson or whatever it was there, when they speak, they have these microphones. Now, the impact of this microphone is multiple times better than that microphone. The modulation I can do on this microphone is multiple times better than a lapel microphone. So you have to compromise on that. The best is have a handle microphone. So most of the singers, they have handle microphone unless they want to do a dance show along with it. I'm not telling you to watch the singers. But when the singers, if they really want to have the best impact in singing, they use these microphones, which you are having now. The microphone you have, it's a professional microphone, expensive one. What is the difference? I'll tell you when you do public address system. The impact of modulation is multiple times more here than on that. That has got modulation. The advantage in that is it gives you freedom. You can move with both your hands. In this, your one hand is restricted. The advantage in that microphone is that you can keep on walking and you can do some actions. The gestures can be done more. But I believe most of the other gestures, there are Muslim speakers who use that and they only walk. So if you're only going to walk, no difference at all. Better this. If you want to use that, then you should know the technique. That I pray. I cannot speak when I leave the microphone. I'll do the action. So while doing the action, then they speak. I have not seen any Islamic speaker doing that. And will it look good? No. It may get you some points. May get you some points. The Christian missionaries do that. How they bend down? Because the dancing is fine. Even in the Toastmasters, you see, they come and do these actions. Those who are not experienced, what they do, they only walk up and down. Useless. Instead of walking up and down, better stay in one place and do the gestures. So only way you can really do is when you can do other actions which I cannot do now. And that is bending. I cannot bend and speak, though people were doing, which will come to it later on. Kneeling down, doing some actions which I feel it's not haram. Kneeling down, not haram. You're not bowing to anyone. Putting a hand on top, not haram. But I personally feel it doesn't give the dignity to an Islamic speaker to do these things, which will not be a problem for a non-Islamic speaker to do. By any way, I am not criticizing those Muslim speakers who speak with those microphones. By no way they are doing haram. I personally feel this is more effective. If someone can use that better and wants to do it, he's most welcome. I would not like my students to do it, because that's a different training. Not that I cannot do it, but I feel standing in one place gives more seriousness. Imagine if I'm walking and I go, I can't do it. But the impact of standing here and going like a bullet train, tack, 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 carries a bigger weight. So if you use all my techniques and all that technique and match it, lock, stock, barrel. Lock, stock, barrel. Imagine if I have to walk, I have to concentrate on that. Now doing walking and kneeling down, and then while I'm concentrating, I'm acting, and then I'm concentrating on the reference, number, chapter number, chapter number. Will my kneeling down give authenticity to my talk? Huh? Yes, it will give a good act. I have studied a variety of public speakers, and I'm aware of the pros and cons. I personally feel, again, let me tell you very clearly, all these notes are 100% from my experience. I have not copied from anywhere except certain terminologies, as I mentioned to you 2 days back, that I did attend a course, and I disagreed with many things they said. Not all, many. Now, please note, when I say many, it can be, many means many. Many can be 10. Correct? Can be 15. Out of 1,000 also, 10 can be many. Percentage-wise, it is 1. So, many can be 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, 90%, 99%. Correct? If I say 9 is many, total things are 10. So, when I use many, I'm careful when I use many and when I use most. When I use most, it has to be more than 50%. When I use less, again, less can be more than 50%. 6, only 6, less out of 10. So when I say majority, it is more than 50%. When I say most and majority, more than 50%. Now, when I say most or majority, it's anywhere between more than 50 and less than 100%. When I say almost all, it means above 90%. There's no percentage for almost all. When I say few, few can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Few and many can be same. One time when I use few, it means 10. Few people in Bombay, 15 people out of 25 million. Is it few or not? Many people here have done the homework. 15 people do is many. 10 also is many. So depending upon the whole, therefore, when you use in your lecture, you have to be careful. Here, many times I hear Muslims saying, all did like that, every time. And I'm very specific, every time, all. When I ask how many hours, you say hours, don't tell me days. How many means I want number. So when I attended this training program, many points I differed with. So these notes I have not picked up from anywhere. It's mainly by personal experience. All these notes, almost all. Some points I have point form, terminus, gestures, the words. So this is by my experience. And yes, for example, research is done. That I went to the research and I found the research. So that's the reason this is a personal opinion. People may differ. Don't come and tell me, okay, I went to that expert. Fine, he's an expert. Doctors differ. So when you go to super speciality, the more super speciality you go to, more chances of differing. If you go to general, chances of differing is less. The more super speciality you do, difference of opinion will increase. So then you have to choose who is more effective, who's telling you. Then you see the credentials. This is mainly by experience. So all these things are mainly by experience. And I will show you also. I will show clipping of the person who came out first in Toastmasters. The person who came out second. Good, effective. But then you compare him with who you think can get crowds. And if you use the structure and content to that, some will work, some will not work. If you use all the things that we have mentioned here, it's difficult to implement the other things, what we are going to do in that type of speech. So let a small loss take place to prevent a big loss is the ruling of the Sharia. So I do agree that is effective in terms of people's attention, but there are drawbacks also to it. Any other questions? Okay, Brother Sabu. We better go ahead, otherwise we get stuck here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
As you said and also mentioned here, sir, about giving advice on giving talks without note is good. So what is your opinion about giving talks with modern technologies, which most of the people now consider it as the modern way of giving talks in gathering? Assalamu alaikum.
As far as giving talks with modern technology, there is a separate session that we'll be having. Inshallah, maybe after about 3-4 days. But you haven't heard everything. So see, the moment I answer, I'll have to tell you something of the structure. So this question, after we finish the techniques and structure and content, you can ask. Okay? Therefore, I told you, don't ask questions which are going to come. If you have read, there is something as ancillary aids for public speaking. Ancillary aids. If you take out the 45 days schedule, ancillary aids is what we'll be talking, and that time we'll talk, inshallah. Is it clear? Yes, Farik.
As far as in a Jummah khutbah, for example, so we see many of the khatib who give the Jummah khutbah, they hold a stick while speaking. So will that reduce the impact? And the other second connecting thing to it is that if there's old person and if he wants to give a speech, so he may need the help of a stick if it's a long speech, etc. So will that reduce the impact or is it okay?
Farik has the question that many a time the khatib in Jummah khutbah hold a stick, and that's a sunnah. Scholars differ how important the sunnah. There are many sunnahs. Some are sunnah the muqadda, sunnah the ghair muqadda. So if you consider it to be a very important sunnah and you want to hold it, it overrules everything else. But very few of the khatib hold the stick while giving Jummah khutbah because they consider it is a sunnah but not that important. So if you belong to that category of Muslims who believe holding a stick while giving the Jummah khutbah is a very important sunnah, it overrules any other techniques. If it's haram, you cannot do it. So it's not a fard to hold the stick. No scholar says it's a fard, it's a sunnah. And there also people differ. As far as I've been to several mosques, thousands of mosques in different parts of the world, a very small percentage of the khatib, they hold the stick. In the haram also, I doubt whether they hold the stick. Do they hold the stick in haram? Ibrahim? No. So it is a sunnah, but people differ. Now coming to the question, the old man wants to give a speech, a long speech. If he cannot stand, trouble, then he sits and gives a speech. Preferable. Because if he's holding the stick for support, that means it is very difficult. For him, I'd advise him to sit and give a speech. May Allah let not that time come to us. May Allah raise it at a time when we are in the best of Iman and our best deeds totally is there. But now, person is difficult for him to stand, leave aside gestures. If it's difficult and he's resting on it, then better it is that he sits and gives a speech and learns the techniques of sitting and giving a speech. Even while sitting, you can be effective. And the best example is Dr. Israr Ahmed. Dr. Israr Ahmed is one of the most powerful Urdu speakers. And he's very powerful. And his modulation is good. He sits and he gives the speech. Hope that answers the question.
Regarding the impact on both the situations, at least for the first one, for the khatib.
Yes. For the khatib, it will reduce. If he's holding a stick, surely it will reduce. One of his hands is blocked. He's holding a stick, it will reduce for sure. But if he thinks it's a very important sunnah and he wants to do it, no problem. But most of the people don't think it is that important sunnah. It is there. It's not a fard. Depends upon the person. And for a person who's leaning down, he's finding trouble. So but natural is, everything would go down. The better he sits and he speaks, it will be better.